Well, good morning eventually. Apologies for being late this morning. I was trying to swallow my breakfast, do jobs, and then I picked my microphone up, and this is my microphone wire. Look at this spaghetti. So I've tried to undo it as much as I can, but I think we'll just have to go the best we can with it in a knot, and hope I don't have to wander too far to collect anything. I'll just have to unclip my microphone if I do. So morning, Karina. Lovely to have you with me this morning. So do come on and say hello if you are watching us live. It's lovely to know who's there. And no doubt morning to Freddie too. So yeah, it's lovely to know who's here joining me this morning. It's very warm in here this morning. I think the sun is shining through the window. Hi Valerie, Thursday. Thank you, Valerie. That's our check-in as to what day it is, because we do have to keep reminding ourselves, don't we? So it is indeed Thursday, and we're going to be playing a little bit more with the Ornate Garden suite this morning. So we've done various things. Hello, Freddie. So it was sprinkles that we were playing with yesterday, pigment sprinkles. Today I thought we'd have a little bit of a play. I want really to grab the stamp sets are going to be my main focus today, although I'm sure we shall. Hi Div. I'm sure we will be popping in and using other bits and pieces out of there as well. But I wanted to use today, I thought we'd have a play with the Stamparatus. So we'll have a bit of a play with the Stamparatus and the stamp sets and see what we can do with those. I seem to have a pile of papers here that are taking over the world. Let's move those out of the way. Yeah, and let's have a bit of a play. Hi Lisa. So it really is vague thoughts today. We really haven't got any further than that. I was up quite late yesterday trying to get my blog post out, which means that this morning's turned into a bit of a rush. But we can take a deep breath now. I have a cup of tea. I've managed to pour my tea out. I have just swallowed my breakfast. So we're all good now. We're all good for a bit. Everybody else is out at work. It's just us here. So we can play. I do need to just go and grab some Whisper White cards. So let me go and grab that without dragging you with me. Hold on. When the mic's untangled, it will definitely reach that far. I'm not sure in its spaghetti state today whether it will. So we have some Whisper White card. We have our Stamparatus, and I've just grabbed. I thought, what colours shall we go for? I've just grabbed the 2018 to 2020 in colours, because we've not got these with us for very much longer. They will retire at the end of May, and once we hit May, so once we get past this month, they will no doubt go on to the retiring list, and once that happens they tend to just sell out really, really quickly. So if you want any of these colours, Call Me Clover, lovely lipstick, Pineapple Punch, Grapefruit Grove, that's a nice mucky one, isn't it? And Blueberry Bushel. If you want any of these ink colours, or if you need the ink refills to go with them, my suggestion is get your order in now rather than waiting, because as I say, once they hit the retirement list, they tend to be the first thing to go. So if you do want them, or any of the other products with them, get them now. Don't wait, because they will disappear very quickly, and it's nothing more annoying than realising that you've got an ink pad but you haven't got an ink refill to go with it. So ink colours, we'll have a bit of a play with the ink colours, with the Stamparatus. We'll do a couple of things to show off these stamps, but also just because we like playing with the Stamparatus. So if you've not come across our Stamparatus before, where have you been? Mine looks as if it wants a really good scrub. So our Stamparatus, it comes with, you've got your main base of your unit like this with the grid on it. Yours won't have mucky marks on it. You have 2 magnets. Yours won't come with ducky duct tape on. I've put that on just to help. If they do get trapped together, they are incredibly strong magnets. If they do get snapped together, it's very difficult to get them apart, so I put ducky duct tape on mine just to help that to happen. As you can see, this one here has snapped. That does happen. They are very brittle magnets, so it is possible for them to break. You can get replacements, but actually that little bit is often quite useful. And you've got this little bit on the bottom, this little gap indentation that you can put your magnets in and keep them apart. So that's your main base. Obviously, as I say, we've got your grid on it. It's metric and imperial measurements on there. You've got your square grid. You then get a foam mat, so that if you are using photopolymer stamps, you've got your foam mat that you need to put in place. And then you get 2 plates, both of which have got grids on, and they clip in the side here. Now when you're working with it, you can have both plates in at the one time, but when you're storing it, you need to take one away. And the really lovely thing about these plates is, as you can see, you can take them out, but you can also turn them round. So if you are doing multi-step stamping, you can have up to 4 different stamps. So you can have a stamp on here, a stamp on here, a stamp on here, and a stamp on the other side, and you can just keep, if you're doing multiple, stamp, stamp, turn it round, stamp, stamp. So you can get a nice rhythm going if you are doing lots of the same project, so it really comes into its own then. But I'm going to take that one out for now, because I think the first thing we'll do is, well, the first thing I'll do is I'll cut myself a piece of card. I'm going to cut this piece of card, so it is, I think, 13.9 by 9.5. So that would be not your card base, not your first mat, but your second mat in would be that size, because I'm thinking I could have my card base. Oh, I've obviously picked up red ink somewhere. Look at that. I've got nice red splodges on there. I'm going to move that to one side because I know that the other side had already got a little bit of a mark on it, because I'd already thought to myself, that's okay, because I can use that side. Obviously not, Helen, if you've got red splodges on it. Let's try. Got red splodges on the trimmer too. Let's try once more, hopefully without any red splodges. That looks better. That looks slightly less splodgy. Right, now the first stamp that I'm going to be using is actually this, the Ornate style, this lovely border stamp. I did say that we would use that border stamp today. So that is actually, should I start that again? Shall we reverse? That is a rubber stamp. So we don't need our extra foam mat in there. I'm going to get a piece of grid paper. I'm going to treat us to a nice shiny new piece. So this is the pack of grid paper that you can purchase that fits beautifully in your Stamparatus. I have got one of the new mats. I've not actually got it out yet, but I want to actually mark on this paper, so I shan't use that. So you can also buy a foam mat to go in your Stamparatus that has a grid on it, and actually I would say that that's possibly slightly thicker than that one. I think the fact that it's got the plastic coating on makes it feel a bit firmer, so we may use that in a minute. We may revert to that one in a minute when we come to doing the photopolymer stamps, but for now we don't need a foam mat because we've got I'm going to use a rubber stamp. Now what I do like to do is I like to decide where I'm going to put my card, and I think I'm going to put it there. I do like just to take, I'm sure there was a pencil on here somewhere, there is. Once I've decided where it's going, make a mark. So I know that was my starting point. So if for any reason it wanders, I know that's where we want that to come back to. Hi Doreen. So these grid papers are really useful. And I use them until they are, you know, completely covered in stamping and marks and not fit for purpose anymore. You want to get the most out of them. They are, after all, tools, not jewels. They're not about looking pretty on your Stamparatus. They're about being functional. So I think what we will do to start with is I'm going to take this border stamp just here. I want that to come down the edge, but I'm going to also line up this thanks, because what I was thinking was that we could have a border coming down one side, and I've not actually tested this in the Stamparatus, but I would think and then I wanted a thanks, so I need to move that across so that I can reach that, get that in. So let's lay that down so we can know where we want that to be. So just roughly about there, I think. Make sure that we're happy with how that's lined up. So I think I said hello to Doreen, hello to Em. Right, now then, what colours shall we go? I think I'll have blueberry bushel. So over on my stamp just here, what I ought to do is pop one of these stamp boxes under there. By doing that, you just make sure you've got a nice flat surface to ink up on. And we will stamp that border. Right, let's see what happens if we take this out and bring it down a notch. Beautiful. Now I haven't re-inked that. I'm just going to do that as a second stamp, so it's slightly paler. And I think we'll give this a bit of a clean. And perhaps just a bit of a dab with a kitchen towel. Dab, dab, dab. Then let's go in pineapple punch for this next layer. Stamp that in there. I'm going to give that another, I want that to be slightly darker. Perhaps that ink pad needs re-inking, but actually the nice thing about your Stamparatus is you can just go in again. Right, what I'm going to do now is, rather than skipping one, I'm going to skip two. Clean that up again. Dab, dab, dab. And I'm going to go in with Call Me Clover. That's fitted on there nicely, isn't it? And then I'm going to bring it back up one to do my second. So we've got a slightly paler Call Me Clover. Morning, Hannah. Forgotten to put my phone on silent again. Morning, Beryl. Right, so we've got a nice strip there of multicoloured borders. Then what I think we'll do is we'll come down here. Where's my thanks gone? I'm going to move my magnets across to the other side. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to put in my foam mat. Now obviously I'm going to hang on to the grid paper because I've got my mark on there. And we've got our a plate here lined up for this. Is it lined? Yes, lined up for this bottom one. So let's take that stamp off of there. And then I think what we'll do is we'll reverse the colourway. So we'll stick with the yellow in the middle, but we'll go with blue down the bottom here. Now that's where you see where you pick up a photopolymer, where you find that your card sometimes sticks, especially with new stamps where they're still very juicy. So let's ink up this photopolymer thanks down here with, see if I can move that up so you can see, with the blueberry bushel. Then line that up again, and let's come up one and stamp it a second time without re-inking. And we'll clean it up. I think my card moved on that one, it's a bit wonky, isn't it? Never mind, we'll get the general idea. Let's go in with some pineapple punch. That's not a good idea. Oh, card's really moved then, Helen. Get a grip. Hi, Stella. Let's move it up a one and then stamp with pineapple punch. And I think again we'll go in a second time with that one. Oh, I've taken the magnets off. Lisa, thank you. You see, I think my brain is all over the place today. Too many late nights, that's the trouble. I think that's because I'm out of sync. Yes, I moved the magnets off, didn't I, in order to move the card so that they weren't this side of the card, and then forgot to put them back on. It's a good job you're awake, Lisa. I most definitely am not. Right, so now we need to go back to our Call Me Clover. So we need to take this right to the top again, because we want the second one down to be the faded one. So let's ink that up with Call Me Clover. And then let's bring it down and stamp again. Okay. So there we go. It's not the best lined up. This blue one wandered a little bit. But we can. No such thing as mistakes, only opportunities for embellishment. So we can come in there and perhaps do something over the top there. In fact, what I might do is just get a little bit of Whisper White card. Like that, and let's clean this up. Just pop that under there. I'll know that will work then. Let's ink this up with the blue. Let me find a little bit of scrap paper. Because I want to stamp it once, stamp it twice. Okay, take that off of there. Move that to one side for a second. Ooh. Now I think we'll go with got a pineapple punch card base already made there. Shall we go? Yeah, why not? So let's use that pineapple punch card base. Apologies for the shadows. We've got sunshine today. So there's that beautiful pineapple punch, that really zingy yellow. So I've made that into a standard, I've got that as a standard card base. Let's cut a mat to go on the top of that. So we shall want that to be 14.4 by 10, or whatever your standard first size mat is to go on your standard card bases. Got our thanks just there. I'm going to oh, silly woman. Do you know, have you ever had one of those days where you think you should just stop and, you know, start again? Let us just grab our thanks. Hold on to your hats. It's going to be a bumpy ride today. Once more with feeling, this little second blue thanks obviously doesn't want to be stamped. Right, there we go. Now you know why I always trim up my bits with my scissors by eye and don't use a trimmer. Can't be trusted. Right, shall we see if we can try that again? That's a bit better, isn't it? I think I'm going to grab, I have got my oddments of card here. Ooh, ooh, is that oddment? That oddment looks as if that will fit on there beautifully. I'll have to trim it a little bit, but that's a good use of that little oddment. But I think it is big scissors to trim that one. It's funny, isn't it? Some people can't trim with scissors. Always use their trimmer. Me, I always struggle with my trimmer. So we'll have that as our thanks. Hi, Wendy. Coming on there. Let's also see, have I got... What have I got in my ribbon box? I have got, oh, I've got some of the blueberry, little bit of blueberry bushel left. I have got some of the Call Me Clover. Oh, that's wrapped around something else. Not got any Pineapple Punch left. Right, okay, so we've got those two choices of in colour ribbons. So shall we go? We haven't brought any green in on our cardstock, but we've got green on our stamping, and we've got green just there. So I think we'll perhaps bring a bit of green. Oddment, yes, that's a good word, isn't it? Oddment. It sort of gives it a little bit more. Scrap makes it feel as if it's no longer of any use. Then put on the scrap heap. Oddment is a much more gentle word, isn't it? We still have a use for you. We still love you, little oddment of card. Right, let's snip that. So let's take our Tombow. Oh, no worries, Stella. It's not what you know, is it? Right, I think at these times it's been really nice to see how everybody has been going that extra mile to help each other. So we're going to wrap that round there. Obviously that looks very odd coming across the top of that thanks, but we're covering that up because that one was a bit of a not quite lined up, but that's okay. It's nice to put that raised up one on the top anyway. That's what we do, isn't it? We think, oh, made a mistake there, need to stick something on that. What can I stick on that to cover that up? I'm going to get another bit there because I think that may wander. And this is on the back, so nobody's going to know what's on the back there, but we've just make sure that that's well anchored down. I think we'll put that up on dimensionals. And we'll put our thanks up on dimensionals. Nobody would ever know that that wasn't our intention all along. In fact, shall we bring it so that it's deliberately out of line rather than trying to line it up? I think we will. Let's snip a bit more of our outsides of our dimensionals. We've nearly got to the end of this one. So I hope everybody is doing okay. Hi Angie, thank you Angie, you're a star. So yeah, if like Angie you want to share this out, I am always very grateful. It's nice to have new people come in and crafting with us. And we'll put that over there. Do we want to knot or anything? To knot or not to knot? That is the question. Actually, I think to knot is the answer for this one. I think I quite like the fact that we've got the lines going across. What I will have a dig about and see is what I've got in the way of the little enamel dots that go with this colour selection. A few there, but I've got a feeling I've got some more somewhere in my big box of pretty sticky on things. Can't see them. I thought I'd got some more of those. What colours have I got? I've got some yellow ones, haven't I? I have. There they are. So obviously we want to stick to the blue, green and yellow. And oh, thought I'd picked it up and I haven't. A green and a green. So yeah, likewise all these will be going, will be retiring. Everything with these in colours will be retiring at the end of May. So yeah, that's quite nice. So it's quite a nice sort of I'm aware that the shadows are really strong this morning with the sun shining. I haven't got any blinds in here. I have to rig something up. But quite a nice sort of masculine feel to that. Quite a fun sort of almost young person-ish as well, if you've got a teen who's being particularly helpful, or if you want to thank your postman if he's a man, or your dustbin men, or whoever. There we are. So that's one card using that Ornate Garden set and the Stamparatus. Brilliant. I'm going to leave those to one side because if we're sticking with these colours, we may well come back to them. I'll move that to one side as well for now. I'll hang on to the ribbon. Let's just move some bits to one side and then we can grab them back in if we need them. Right. Grab that. We'll get ourselves another piece of Whisper White card in just a second. We'll stick with these colours. But I'm actually going to dig about in my box of stamping white markers and see if we can't find the in colours. Oh no, that's a retired one. That's Lemon Lime Twist. That one. Yep, Pineapple Parade. Call Me Clover. That one I think is Melon Mambo. Lovely Lipstick. Oh no, Pacific Point. Might not need the blue one anyway, but Blueberry Bushel. And what are we missing? We're missing Grapefruit Grove. Which is that one just there. Right, so there's our 5 in colours. Those same 5 ink colours, but this time in Stamping White markers. And I'm going to actually, let's go wild and let's do the big stamp. Because we can. Okay, so another piece of Whisper White card. Let's trim that up. That's about 5 inches long. I'm going to make it I'm going to make it 5 inches square. Let's go for a square card. I don't do square cards very often. But this card is sort of rather calling out to be square. Right, got my magnets this time, Lisa. Oh, before I put my magnets on, let me take the sponge mat out because this is a foam stamp, so we're not going to want our foam inner, and let's have that coming across there like that. I think that's the nice thing about the Stamparatus is you can take a little bit of time. Apologies that that wire is laying straight across there. Let me see if I can hook it up out of the way so that the that didn't successfully work, did it? Let's see if I can pick up this spaghetti of wire. Hook it over my stand there. That's a bit better, isn't it? That's taken that line from straight across the middle of the picture. What was I saying? See, completely lost my train of thought there. That's the nice thing about the Stamparatus, is that you can take time sort of laying out your stamps where you want them to be before you actually commit to ink. I mean, obviously you can do that anyway, but it doesn't really matter which way this plate goes for this one, so we'll just put that down and pick that stamp up. I'm going to turn it round. Actually, it would have been better to have been this side. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour direct a stamp with this one. So let's have a look. Let's start with some of the leaves. I'm just going to take my marker. I'm just going to colour where these leaves are and the stalks. Let's give that a stamp. It is going to be upside down, but we'll get the general picture. I don't need to worry about cleaning it up in between, because if it's going to overstamp, it's going to overstamp where it's stamped previously anyway. And I don't want to do too big an area at once because we need to stamp it before the ink dries. And if you do get a little bit of blending of the colours, that's not too big an issue. That's a flower there. There's a bit more leaf down here. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's I think we'll go with these sort of Gerbera daisy-like flowers. Let's do those in Grapefruit Grove, or at least the outside petals. And I think I'm going to come around the outside of that inner flower with Grapefruit Grove as well. Where are we? Up here somewhere, aren't we? Oh, that looks as if that wants a bit more on there. But that's okay because we can do that. That's better. Let's do this one. And again, we'll go around the outside of that inner bit of the flower. Beautiful. I'm going to pick up the pineapple punch. I'm actually going to put pineapple punch on this inner bit of these flowers. I think I can get away with doing both of those. Lovely. Right, and these little flowers I think I'm going to do in pineapple punch. I'm not going to worry too much. I'm just going to colour over all of that. Might have missed a leaf out there, but we shall see the gaps when we just give that a bit more on this edge. A bit more there. This is a lovely technique if you've got a solid one that you're able. Hi Mel, how lovely to have you catch up, and Karen. And then we'll do these little flowers here. We'll do those in pineapple punch as well. Let's give that a second. Going over. Lovely. Now I'm going to pick up my lovely lipstick, and I think where these centres of these flowers are, I'm just going to go in, give them a lovely lipstick centre. We'll do the same with these. And all of the flower middles. Yep. And then the big sort of dahlia type flowers, we'll do those in lovely lipstick. Again, I'm not worrying about colouring these in. I'm cleaning the stamp up in between. I shall just clean it up when I've finished. It's quite useful actually because it means that you can see where you've been. Right. We'll just give that a slightly second coat. I'm going to do that one flower and then come back to this other flower, because I think that bottom bit of ink may have dried before it got to be stamped. This one wasn't so bad. And then with these big flowers, we'll come in the centre with some Mango Melody, and I might flick that out a bit as well, just for a bit of colour variation in the middle there. Okay, I need to go in with my green. This leaf here seems to have lost its tip, and then this leaf here I left all together, didn't I? Let's just fill in those gaps. We'll give it a good press all over. Right, let's turn this all back round so that we're the right way round. That's quite pretty. I did wonder whether I would get my blender pen out and drag colour and things out, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to leave it as just that outline colours, because that's quite pretty. Right, what we could do though is we could then come in with this curly border just here. So I line that curly border. I'm going to take that stamp off. I'll lay it on my stamping scrub. This has got a little bits out of the dies on the back of here. So I'm going to line that up just there and pick that up. What colour border shall we go for? Shall we have lovely lipstick, or shall we go... I think we'll go lovely lipstick. I'm going to use the ink pad for this job. So let's lay that down on there. Don't really need my watercolour boxes, do we? Pencil boxes. Let's open that up. I'm going to ink this up and stamp. And then I'm going to move the card, put it back in that corner. Ink it up and stamp. Put it in that corner, ink it up and stamp. Oh, we've obviously sat that on the ink pad, but that's okay. And last but not least, so that's much easier than trying to line up that corner 4 different occasions. We've lined it up once, inked and stamped it 4 times. There, that gives that a nice frame, doesn't it? Let me take that out and put that over there, and I can clean that up in a second. So I've swapped to inches on this one. I do that, so apologies. I do go from inches to centimetres depending on how it best suits whatever I'm doing. Don't think that's going to be... oh yeah. Oh no it's not. Yeah, if we do it in 5 1/4 it is. So let me cut that 5 1/4 that way, and that's 5 1/4 that way. Pretty. Then we'll do one 5 1/2. So now obviously if we were being very good, in fact I'll do it with this one. So if we were being very good and were trying to preserve our cardstock, we would just take our trimmer, and it doesn't really matter where it is, as long as it leaves enough of a border. We could just take our trimmer and gut the middle of that piece of card. So it's not going to be very neat, it's not going to be very pretty. Let's pop that out. So now we have that border on the back, and we have another piece of card ready to use for another occasion. So yeah, don't need particularly. Now if I was doing that in foil or something, I would very definitely gut it. I'm very aware that the light is terrible in here today because the sun is shining. We shouldn't complain about the sunshine. I'm going to cut this piece of card so it's 14.9 centimetres wide, because then if I swing it around and score it at 14.9 centimetres, we know that is a halfway point. Oh, I'm not going to score it on that one though, am I? Your score blade missing, Helen. I am going to have to hunt down a score blade for my trimmer. Right, so we've got a nice big square, nearly 6-inch card there, not quite. Again, the measurements might alter differently depending on where you are, but that's just, I've just made the width of the card when I cut it whatever half of the length is to make it square, if that makes sense. So there we are, that's those borders. Now we haven't used blue at all in that, so if we're going to put any ribbon on at all, it will need to be the green if we're going with in colours. We'll see. We'll perhaps put a sentiment on of some sort under. Should I have a decisions? I'm going to cut that. So this is one of the well-written framelets. I'm going to cut it out of a piece of lovely lipstick card. Let's get my pokey end on my picture tool. Let's get rid of that bit just there. So we could have it on a banner of some sort. We could have it oh, it's not quite big enough, but oh, decisions, because I've centered that so much now beautifully. I almost don't know what I want to do with a sentiment, or even, see, I'm getting that I'm not putting sentiments on things, but we need to put sentiments on them. But it's not knowing what I'm going to send it for. That's always the trouble, isn't it? That's quite cute. What I might do, I might cut a second one. Ooh, I think we're not going to work. The little dot is just there. May well not, little dot for the eye. We will see. Haven't got birds singing today. We've got children playing. An equally lovely sound. Hello, Gianna. Okay, let's stick those together. So I'm not going to put a ribbon round it. Let me pop my friend on there so I don't lose that. I've already lost one die this week. I have hunted this place up and down. I'm sure I'm going to find it somewhere really bizarre. But at the moment, that really bizarre place has not come to light. And it's really annoying because it's one of my new dies. I've had bins out. I've had all sorts of things going on. No luck yet. Right, so let's take a silicone mat. Put down a little squiggle of Tombow. And let me just grab the sticky up end. I'm not going to worry about pushing it back on I won't take the brush end out just yet. So let's just dabble that in that glue. I could get a sponge and do this. Then I'm going to put those two together. So we get a bit of a shadow effect. Like that, and then we'll dabble that in the glue and we'll stick that across here. Now, are we going to attempt to, how are we feeling about getting this on the end of that? So let me just dabble that in some glue. This is like a delicate operation, isn't it? Can we do it? Come here. Let's turn them around. I could have just got one of those dots, couldn't I? But it's sort of like a, yes, we did. Look at that, we've even managed to dot the eye. Let's find a glue dot. a bit of a ribbon coming in. Needs to be a much smaller bow. I think we're going to go in with that. And I'm really not sure. I think I'm going to leave that for a minute. I'll put some dots on instead. Right, so let's decisions. This is how we go about, don't we? We think, oh, do we want that? Don't we want that? So my lovely lipstick mat. So I could have gutted that as well, because this is big pieces of card, so you get quite a sizable piece coming out of the middle of that. And that one. And then we will stick all of that into our 14.9 centimetre square, nearly 6-inch square card. Now let's go back to our little dots. And I think where we've done the lovely lipstick, oh, excellent. So poor Stella's been struggling to get food deliveries, and then all of a sudden she's going to get lots coming at once. But that's all good. That'll keep you going for a little while longer, Stella. You can't get out and about. Oh, got sticky fingers. I can afford to be generous with these because obviously they're not going to be current for very much longer. And anyway, if you're sending a big, hi Sally, 6x6 square card to a friend, why wouldn't you want to adorn it with a little and one more little one in there like that. And perhaps we'll scatter a couple of yellow ones. Some pineapple punch around the place. So there. So that one is using our Stamparatus to colour direct to stamp. So we added one colour at a time. Red velvet cinnamon buns Sally is making. So that sounds nice. So all go round to Sally's house, stand 2 meters away from the front door, knock, step back 2 meters, and perhaps she'll throw you one. They sound lovely. Red velvet cinnamon buns. How exciting. Well, we have been playing with our Stamparatus. So we've got this one where we've coloured on, we've used that great big stamp and we've coloured direct to the stamp. Done a bit of excellent. Done a bit of shadowing on there with that die cut. So that's from the well-written buns. And then this one we used our Stamparatus to do the borders. So solid colour, second generation solid colour, and then we went the other way up. So where there'd been blue, we went green, and vice versa for our little thanks card. So there's a couple more cards to add to our growing collection of things that you can do with this Ornate Garden suite. And I have to say that not only is it a growing collection, but it is just, we've got so many different looks. So we've got pretty and lacy and die cut and papers, coloured with stamping blends, bit of sort of dragging out the colour, adding in colour with a blend. When we've got our yesterday's pigment sprinkles, today sort of much sort of softer Stamparatus direct to stamp. So what a wonderful pile of cards. So tomorrow is the last day of playing with this bundle on the Stampin' Up on the Facebook Lives. I'm sure it won't be the last day of playing with it. So I will go away and think of something else to do. I love doing a bit of colouring direct to stamps, particularly if you've got a solid flower that you can add in different shadings and things. It's lovely. That's where the Stampin' Right markers really come into their own, when you can colour direct to stamp. But tomorrow we will come in for our last focused play, let's say, with this gorgeous Ornate Garden suite. So I look forward to seeing you then. If you're interested in any of my classes and things, I have put up a blog post. Well, it wasn't even late last night. I think it eventually went live early this morning, sort of outline. So thank you to those of you that I've seen have already booked on some of my online classes. It's lovely to see, and I look forward to doing those. But otherwise, I will catch up with you, and I will see you all in the morning.